Hey, again, still promoting my new book, Meta-Dimensional. Just picking small pieces from the book and telling you about it. So, this is in the book, but it's I'm going to talk about it like detached from the context. So I start from the topic and then I get to the context, then I stop. So, you probably know something about placebos. You know, someone tells you that something, you take this pill, and someone tells you that it will make you feel better, and then it makes you feel better, even though there's no active ingredient in it. So that's like placebos. From what I understand, they work out about. They have like a positive effect on something like half the population. So this isn't a laughing matter. This is like a serious treatment. Like, you have medical interventions whose success um, likelihood is lower than 50%, and it's not like 50%. It it helps 50%, and the other 50% it does damage. The other 50% doesn't do anything. So most of the time, I'm guessing. Like I don't know, but I'm guessing. But still, for whatever reason, placebos are considered the threshold for showing something doesn't do anything. That's what they do. Like when you have a new drug, you have to test it against a placebo, and if it doesn't do better than a placebo, then it's considered to be ineffective and doing nothing. Which makes sense in the sense of like, if you put the placebo with the drug or without the drug, then you get the same effect, or you get similar. So it doesn't mean there's nothing of value in that drug, in that pharmaceutical. But 50%, that's a lot. You can't just use that just to cancel out ineffective treatments. You should give that as treatment, right? Now, but it's not like, yes, sometimes physicians would say, yeah, you should keep a positive attitude and blah blah blah, but not as a treatment. Or at least I don't know. I don't like about placebos are about lying basically to the patient, or like knowing that something doesn't do anything and yet telling them that it does. And well, some may argue that about this and that drug, that's what exactly they do. That's not what the book says. The book says that the books say that it's that they're not effective. That they are effective. Like, now, so you have to ask yourself why. I mean, this is the lives of people. 50%. That's like on the level of pacemakers and tooth fillings. That's pretty good, right? Now, the reason why it's not being recommended, I think it's related with the trigger. What triggers a placebo? It's like, it's not nothing, right? There is the experiential component of it, that you feel, that you believe that it will make you feel better. And I think, honestly, science really doesn't like that. It doesn't like to have stuff that it cannot measure, and you can't measure belief. You can't measure what people feel. So even if there is an acknowledgement that there is a placebo effect and it can do good, it's not being harnessed because it's not the kind of stuff that medicine and science like. But the thing is, it is real. Like, you can check and see it is real, and it changes how you, like, if you start thinking about experience as a significant player, not just an oddity you can't explain, then you say, okay, something about experience that can change my medical, my bodily medical state, biological state, health. And so there is this thing where hoping that the placebo would work would improve the body, but there's no causal relation, right, between the belief and the biological changes. Not because, well, there's nothing in biology that speaks in concepts, right? Like the body, if it's a machine, it's a machine. It doesn't understand semantics, right? I mean, that's what it's supposed to be. So if you assume that it's a machine, if you assume that the body isn't, looking at you back and saying, you know what, you convinced me. Like, if you don't assume that, which is kind of weird if you assume that your body is actually another experiential agent listening to you and picking on your cues and has its own perception. If you don't assume that, because that's kind of weird, then you should assume that instead, it's not about feeling good. It's not about hoping. It's not the hope that improves health. Instead, there's some kind of experiential dynamics that change the body. And some of them work with the semantics of hope, feeling better. Some of them might actually work with the opposite. Like, you could get better by believing that you are sick. It's possible. Like, you don't have to assume that there's an equivalence between the semantics and the bodily effect. And yeah, and in the book I'm exploring this deeper. But in general, this is touching something I call the private blind gap. So you see, there's a gap between the biological, physical, wakeful world and my perception. There are dynamics that I cannot perceive, such as those that make placebos function. They are part of the machine that I cannot, that are individual to me, and I cannot measure them using any universal measurement. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just touching the subject.